This is my contraption. I've never used it for about 3 years. It does the job, but I made a big childish, well, not childish, schoolboy type error mistake. I didn't design it for right-hand drive, I designed it for left-hand drive, which bolts on this side. So I had to put some tubes and spacers on and push it out. It's no big deal. But the motor on this is pathetic. I think it's like a billionth of an horsepower. And it has no, it doesn't grip properly, if you see what I mean. It slips and it burns the pump. Like the pump's got a thermal trip on with about 10 degrees Celsius or something like that. But it proves a point that it's not leaking, right? So let me tell you how it works. On here, behind here, there's a 300 TDI pump, you know, for power steering pump. Obviously we've got a reservoir here. That feeds the top of the steering box. I'll show you this from a different angle in a minute. And then this pipe here is the pressure pipe, which goes to the pressure gauge. So the pressure comes out of this pipe, blah, 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 onto a T, onto my gauge here, and then into here for the power steering. So when there's a demand for power steering, it will let pressure into there. I've steam cleaned it, I'm not steam cleaned it off, I've washed it all off with brake cleaner. Let me bring you around to this side and let's have a look here. I'm not bothering editing this, but don't waste of time. But you can probably see here I've got a big wheel on the front. That represents the steering wheel. But if you look at the relationship between me turning the wheel and the arm, it's absolutely positive. When I hold onto that, there's no backlash, which is good. That means it's adjusted right. It is a bit Heath Robertson, I must admit, and I could do with a better motor, because the only way I can get up to high pressure is to actually lock it tight, and then the motor cuts out. So maybe if I get a bit of time one day, I'll do it like that. Oh, bloody spanners everywhere. And now I made this kit, this rig, with all the pipes and things like that on, so that I could test this on the car, sort of pressure test it on the car. Well, sort of didn't really work. But anyway, let's fire her up. So you can see there's zero pressure, and you can see the arm moving at the bottom, working well. But watch what happens when I quickly put it into full lock. You see the gauge kick over, but it stalls my electric motor, so it can't act like a car because there's not enough power. But you can see quite carefully, if you look at the gauge, watch it kick up. It's supposed to be about 900 to 1,000 pounds, which, considering it's a V-belt pulley on a flat belt, there's no grip on it at all. And of course the motor, well, it just stalls. But by turning it backwards and forwards, we can run it through some cycles and just check for leaks. And it's dry as a bone. This is nice and dry. If only steering was this light then. Oh, this tube here is the bleed tube, so when you crack off the bleed screw, so we know that this has got fluid right to the very top. I know it's a bit primitive, but it works. At least you don't have to put it on a car and think, well, it's not going to work. Well, it does, it's great. But you see, if I do another one, which I don't know if I ever will, the arm's on backwards at the bottom. It should be the other way, because if you look very closely down here where I'm pointing, I'll tell you something. There's a threaded hole here. Where are you? Yeah, there you are. There's a threaded hole here, and it corresponds to a gap that's in the back normally of the drop arm, and that is the top dead center, you know, your straight ahead position. So what we want is this, when it's straight ahead position, like when the arm's like this type of thing, we want to make sure there's no play in that arm, and you can see the corresponding movements. It's good, because if it was going like this and not, you know, clonking around, then we'd have to adjust it. But so far So good. Well, let's have that magic moment and start it again. You know, I usually play around with this for about 10-15 minutes. But I tell you, if you put a steering box on that you're not really sure of, you honestly use out. This is a good one. That saved a few bucks and it saved me taking it apart. Should I have put this on at first? Well, yes, I should, because then you could see the seal leaking. And we've left it in such a way, you know when I said that the shaft leaks from the inside, I've left it in such a way that the oil can get through here, we can see, so this isn't blanked off, if you see what I mean. This is actually off a lathe. JP, give me it. Oh, it's not. The pipe oil tends to get a bit warm. I can see why the Disco 2's put an oil cooler on these. You see, there's the pressure gauge now. I'm banged up against the framework here because I didn't design it for your left-hand drive, or right-hand drive, but see, it's cutting out. You can't get right up to pressure. But if you take it this way, it gets up to pressure, but it can't hold it. Hell, what do you want for a Friday afternoon, eh? So all my steering boxes I test now and I rebuild them myself. And I don't think many of them are tested at all. They say they are, but I don't think they are, because that one leaked straight out the box and it said a sticker on saying tested. Obviously not. So we're happy with that. In fact, I think I'll go and have a refreshment. Oh, because it's Sunday afternoon, we'll be closed in half an hour. I better get down off licence. But I'll leave this running whilst I'm away. The worst thing can happen is it will trip out. I'll see you later. Back again. Boy, that was close. I thought we were going to be closed by the time I got there. Listen, I thought I'd do something interesting just as in addition to this video. I thought I'd get the thermal imaging camera out and see how warm that runs just idling. Who's ever done that before? Well, here we go. You can see the difference in heat. Look at the ambient temperature, 16 in here. Oh, you can't see, can you? I don't know what you're talking about. So the ambient temperature in here, on the bench, is about 16, 17. But look at the colours in the pump. 38 degrees. Oh, and still not leaking. Not unless the Jameson's fairies have been round and cleaned up. No, it's running well. The reservoir, look at that's at 40 degrees. Oh, it's look at nearly lost my camera. Can you see the reservoir there? 40 degrees. Oh, I'm pleased with that. I've never actually tested the temperature. So, yeah, that's nice and warm. I could take that to bed and use it as a hot water bottle. A bit messy. But no, that's good. I'm pleased with that. We don't leak. Job done. Now, what I wanted to say to you, oh, that's better in here. You just go and stand back there. You stand over there. Now, what I wanted to say to you is this. The seal kit that you get for the bottom seal is far simpler if the unit is dismantled. You know, with the blue seal I had a bit of a job trying to get it in, but if you put it in without the shaft, oh, it's easy peasy. Then you drop the shaft in, see? But we were doing things backwards. It is possible to do, but you've got to be really careful and don't use anything like super sharp. But as you can see, there's no drips, there's nothing down here at all. One last look before we put this bed to bed. You know, look at that. Dry as a nun's hair. Yeah, I'm going to paint that, sign that off, That's my Sunday done. Right, now we'll say goodbye. Ta-ra.